promoting dialogue.
It's made there in Dakar, 1 o'clock in Porto Novo. Good afternoon, and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. Mixed reactions greet the Gambia's decision to send military troops to Sierra Leone.
I see the Parliament approval as a welcome move for the deployment of Gambian soldiers to the Republic of Sierra Leone.
It's ironic that we have an intervention force in the Gambia and now we are sending intervention force in another ECOWAS country.
Senegal's Customs Service announces major seizure of prohibited drugs value over 600 million CFA francs. Civil societies and political actors in Ghana react to call for an audit of the voters' register ahead of December polls.
For me, it's not worth it. I would say that doesn't make sense. The EC said that, okay, if you have captured some discrepancies, bring it.
It's very important. One party said that the register of the EC is not good, so for do audit.
And 3,000 young women and girls in sub-Saharan Africa are infected with HIV every week, says a UN data. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Augustine Coley with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining us and welcome to our listeners in the Gambia, Ghana, Liberia and Sierra Leone. This edition begins in the Gambia, where there are mixed reactions across the country following the Parliament's recent approval to deploy military troops as part of ECOWAS stabilization forces in Sierra Leone. The Gambian Parliament made the approval after Vice President Mohamed B.S. Jallow moved a motion on behalf of President Adama Barrow requesting Parliament to consider and ratify the deployment of Gambian troops to Sierra Leone for peacekeeping. Sankule Janko has more details in this report.
In the wake of a full coup attempt in 2023 in Sierra Leone, many Gambians are expressing strong opinions on this decision taken by the Parliament on Tuesday. Some praise the decision, viewing it as a necessary step to support regional stability.
I see the Parliament approval as a welcome move for the deployment of Gambian soldiers to the Republic of Sierra Leone to serve as peacekeepers.
2017, we also needed an aid, of which ECOWAS came to our relief. So I believe the Gambia taking part as well in making sure that Sierra Leone is at ease. I think it's commendable.
Others, however, express the concern. One such person is security expert Suleiman Suare, who says the emergence of sending West African troops to various countries is becoming a trend.
Remember Guinea-Bissau when the government said there was an attempted coup by drug gangs. And from then on, the government of Guinea-Bissau requested from ECOMIC to send an intervention unit to support them. And the same similar thing is happening in Freetown. After the election, some people were suspected that there was a coup d'etat. From there on, the Sierra Leone president requested intervention unit to secure his government. And it's ironic that we have an intervention force in the Gambia and now we are sending intervention force in another ECOWAS country.
For Gambia's decision to send troops to Sierra Leone, the security expert has this to say.
Because of poverty, many soldiers want to go. Another aspect of it, soldiers do like to go for missions like this. Furthermore, this Barrow's administration will want to send troops to justify keeping the ECOMIC in the Gambia, because it's been over 7 years now. ECOMIC still in the Gambia without any major crisis happening.
Recall in June, ECOWAS at a summit in Abuja activated its standby force, promising to deploy the first contingent to Sierra Leone following an alleged coup attempt on President Madabio's government. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, I'm Sankule Janku reporting from Banjul.
Over to Guinea as Claude PV, one of the masterminds behind the events of September 28, 2009 Stadium Massacre, who had been on the run since November 4, 2023, was extradited to Conakry on Thursday by Liberian authorities. It was promptly detained at the Conakry Central Prison. The military prosecutor and the Attorney General of the Conakry Court of Appeal announced that security measures at the prison have been reinforced to prevent further attack. Abdullahi Hassan provides more details.
Claude PV arrived in Conakry around 1 a.m. on Thursday aboard a Guinean Army helicopter. Escorted by members of the Guinean Special Forces, the former Minister of Presidential Security under Dadis Camara was directly taken to the Conakry Central Prison, from which he had escaped on November 4, 2023, according to Colonel Ali Kamara, the military tribunal prosecutor.
Le 17 septembre 2024.
On September 17, 2024, the combined efforts of the defense and security forces led to the arrest of the fugitive. He was returned to the central prison to serve a sentence in accordance with the law.
Pour purger sa peine conformément à la loi.
To prevent a potential attack on the Conakry Central Prison, security measures have been strengthened, said Fallou Doumbouya, the Attorney General of the Conakry Court of Appeal.
All measures regarding secrecy are taken to prevent external complicity, whether from attempts of immoral physical coercion or other forms of tangible truths, to the secrets of penal positions that are tied to your life.
Several sources reported on Wednesday the arrest of Veni Pivi, the leader of the commando unit that attacked the Conakry Civil Prison on November 4, 2023. On this matter, the Attorney General of the Conakry Court of Appeal provided clarifications.
The mandate concerning this is so crucial to the equation. The information will be reduced and aligned with the provisions for those over 18 years old, thereby fulfilling the mandate.
Colonel Pivi's lawyers will issue a statement next week to provide more details on his arrest and extradition to Conakry.
Abdoulaye Hassan with that report. Let's take you to Côte d'Ivoire. Since the alert on the disappearance of Ivorian journalist Serge Adou on Nigerian soil, there has been no new information on his whereabouts after he left his house on September 1 this year. He is said to have disappeared after responding to a summons from the Niamey Judicial Police. His Ivorian and regional colleagues are taking multiple actions to find out more. The National Union of Journalists of Côte d'Ivoire has explained the level of worry they have concerning this matter, adding that they await explanations from the Nigerian authorities. Jean-Claude Koulibaly is the union's president.
Aucune nouvelle, c'est ce qui nous inquiète d'ailleurs. Aucune nouvelle. Jusqu'ici, en dépit de nos différentes déclarations,
what we want to say is that what worries us up to this point, despite our various statements, despite the letter we send on various international radios, on various journalist networks, is a radio silence from the Nigerian authorities. This is what worries us about what might have happened to him. We fear for his life because, despite all our efforts, the authorities have not responded, making us believe that something serious might have happened to him. This is why we take this opportunity to once again call on the Nigerian authorities to tell us what he is being accused of. If they tell us, we will know what to do to get him out of there. Personally, I'm very worried because, up to now, we have not received any news despite all our efforts. If the Nigerian authorities accuse him of something, they should tell us, and then we will see what needs to be done. If it is a matter of rights, we will address it. But if it is related to his work as a journalist, we will protest against this abuse.
Mais là, nous serons présents pour pouvoir protester contre cet abus qui ne dit pas son nom.
Jean-Claude Koulibaly is the president of the National Union of Journalists of Côte d'Ivoire. Meanwhile, one of the biggest opposition parties is set to soon officially announce its presidential candidate for the October 2025 elections in Côte d'Ivoire. Bredomis Soumaïla, spokesperson for the Democratic Party of Côte d'Ivoire, PDCR, also said before the convention the team for updating the PDCR RDA government program will have been set up by the party's president. This will be done at a convention which the party will soon hold. He, however, warned against those who intend to consider running as independent candidates after they are defeated, adding that the party will frown at such decision.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
After the nationwide demonstration dubbed Enough is Enough by the opposition NDC in Ghana, civil society actors have urged the Electoral Commission to honor the people's demand for a forensic audit of the voter register. As the political atmosphere in the country becomes tense due to inflammatory remarks, Ghanaians are continuing to emphasize the importance of the recently concluded demonstration. Christopher Aticho has the details in this report.
Days after the nationwide demonstration dubbed Enough is Enough by the opposition NDC, civil society actors have called on the Electoral Commission to adhere to the will of the people for a forensic audit of the voter register. political scientist and analyst with the University of Cape Coast, Dr. Jonathan Asante-Ochere, on his part, praised the organizers and demonstrators, describing the move as a crucial one to consolidating Ghana's democracy.
Apart from those, pockets of violence which can easily be nipped in the bud, this demonstration was splendidly done. The patronage was huge, and it's a testament to the deepening of democracy that we find ourselves.
While the country's political environment gets tense with various inflammatory comments, some Ghanaians have been sharing with the news team the significance of the just-ended demonstration, and while others fear that it has heightened fears of instability with police-citizens clashes, others believe freedom must be fought for.
For me, it's not worth it. I would say that doesn't make sense. The EC said that, okay, if you have captured some discrepancies, bring it. Put together your facts and bring it to us.
It's very important. One party said that the register of the issue is not good, so they for do audit. Simple as that, easy for go ahead and do audit.
To me, it's not worth it if at the end of the day, the demonstrations and everything, we still what they are demanding is not being met. I feel like they just wanted to hit the streets and show that, okay, we are the NDC, we also have the power, we have the people.
According to me, it's a very, very important demonstration.
The NDC has, however, given the EC a week ultimatum to respond to their petition of a forensic audit of the voter register. For WADR, I am Christopher Ticho.
Meanwhile, Amnesty International has announced plans to advocate for amendments to Ghana's Public Order Act of 1994 to enhance protections for protesters while ensuring responsible demonstrations. The organization emphasized that numerous violations related to public demonstrations and existing loopholes in the Act require urgent attention, especially with the pending 2024 elections. WADR's Nadidititi reports.
According to Amnesty International, the right to demonstrate is a fundamental human rights issue under Ghanaian law, and protesters should receive full legal protection without undue restrictions. Speaking to the media following a closed-door meeting with senior officials from the formed police unit of the Ghana Police Service, which oversees public demonstrations in Ghana, Country Director for Amnesty International Ghana, Genevieve Partington, voiced concerns regarding the treatment of protesters and highlighted the need for reforms.
The rights of protesters are not being upheld or protected with the way sometimes security forces handle them. With Amnesty, we'll also be looking at reviewing the Public Order Act. We're currently consulting with some lawyers to look into it. Once we get what the challenges are, we will share that with the public.
She added that as the country nears the days for its general election, there will be more protests, hence the need for the police and protesters to act within the law.
There are going to be other protests coming up, so it's very important that we are here engaging with the formed police units because they are the main unit of police that deal directly with protesters. They are also under a lot of stress and because of the number of protests coming up. Yes, protests are coming up, but we also pray that they'll be peaceful. So Amnesty currently we are also building the capacity of civilians to engage in safe protests so that we can all have peaceful demonstration in Ghana.
Genevieve Partington reiterated the organization's commitment to advocating for changes in the Public Order Act of 1994, Act 491, that would better safeguard the rights of demonstrators while maintaining law and order during protests. For WADR, Nadidi Tete, Accra.
Now, here in Senegal, the Customs Service announces major seizure in connection with the fight against trafficking of prohibited drugs into the country. The seized items include medicines and foreign currency with a total value exceeding 620 million CFA francs, equivalent to over $1 million. Imo Edit has the details.
According to the Senegalese Customs Brigade, these seizure operations occurred across various regions of the country between September 4 and 18, 2024. Notably, on September 17, the Mbu Customs Maritime Brigade intercepted a shipment of medicines valued at 455 million CFA francs, around $764,000, on the high seas, leading to the arrest of 4 individuals. The shipment included antibiotics, anti-inflammatories, antipyretics, and aphrodisiacs. On September 18, the Customs Mobile Brigade in Kafrine seized 226 kg of counterfeit medicines valued at 80 million CFA francs, about $134,000 in Njognik. The press statement revealed that in Kidira, officials also confiscated veterinary products worth 21 million CFA francs, approximately $35,300 from a makeshift hut. Additionally, customs officers in Kumpentum seized 64 million CFA francs, about $107,500 in foreign currency during a routine inspection, resulting in the arrest of 2 foreign nationals. According to the authorities, these operations underscore the country's commitment to combating illegal trafficking and protecting public health.
In more edit with that report. You are listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Here is a reminder of the top stories. Mixed reactions greet the Gambia's decision to send military troops to Sierra Leone. Senegal's Customs Service announces major seizure of prohibited drugs valued over 600 million CFA francs. Civil societies and political actors in Ghana react to call for an audit of the voters' register ahead of December polls. And 3,000 young women and girls in sub-Saharan Africa are infected with HIV every week, says a UN data. We also have the guest interview and the sports update. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Many thanks for staying with us. As a reminder, we're streaming live on YouTube at WADR and on Facebook, WADR English Service. We now head to Nigeria, where a non-governmental organization, Save the Children, is requesting the Borno State government to ensure that humanitarian actors are supported to meet the needs of flood victims. The NGO wants the state government provide the enabling systems for humanitarian groups to speed up efficient life-saving response programs for children, families, and communities affected by the devastating flood that submerged more than half of Maiduguri, Borno State's capital. Usma Umar reports.
The devastating flood in Borno State is the worst in 30 years. It ravaged through the city of Maiduguri and Jere communities last week, displacing about 400,000 residents. With the flooding came humanitarian crisis of displacement, hunger, and outbreak of diseases. Save the Children International reveals the flood has left children and families without shelter, healthcare, school, clean water, and access to food. Duncan Harvey, Save the Children's Nigeria Country Director, describes the crisis as a crisis upon crisis.
We've been able to shift gears very quickly and divert our staff, divert our resources that were already supporting vulnerable children in those 2 LGAs to focus now more specifically on the flood-affected populations and the life-saving needs amongst those people. However, we know that across the state there are very large numbers of children and families who have been impacted, some of whom are still perhaps trapped in floodwaters. A lot of the work is being done by the Nigerian military and others to bring in boats, to bring in heavy equipment that can rescue people from their homes, and I think those efforts are still going on.
So far, over 300,000 people have been registered across 26 location sites, with up to 30 sites already set up. The country director explains that they have set up an urgent rescue service and plan with life-saving response and rehabilitation of affected communities, especially for vulnerable children.
Our focus as Save the Children is particularly on children themselves, and the impact of living in these camps, even for a few days, is very worrying for their protection, for their exposure potentially to diseases, their exposure to malaria and other threats to their well-being.
An immediate need for food, shelter and clean water for displaced persons is crucial as the flood is happening at the lean season, which is at the height of food and nutrition crisis. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
Over 3,000 young women and girls in sub-Saharan Africa are infected with HIV each week, accounting for 77% of global infections among this demographic. This is according to our latest statistics revealed by the Joint United Nations Programme on HIV and AIDS units. In a statement on Thursday, the United Nations agency said that young people, especially adolescent girls and young women, are disproportionately affected by HIV. Oge Obiorika completes the story.
The Joint United Nations Programme on HIV/AIDS reports that in 2023, women and girls accounted for 44% of all new HIV infections globally, with 4,000 young women and girls infected each week, 3,100 of whom are in sub-Saharan Africa. Approximately 3.1 million adolescents and young people aged 15 to 24 are living with HIV, with 1.9 million being adolescent girls and young women. UNAIDS Executive Director Winnie Byanyima emphasizes that the vibrant activism of young people has been pivotal in advancing the HIV response. She highlights the necessity of involving young people in decision-making processes to effectively combat the epidemic. In response to this urgent crisis, 2 young African social media influencers living with HIV are extending their call to action to the United Nations General Assembly and the Summit of the Future. With support from UNAIDS, they aim to urge world leaders to invest in youth-friendly health systems and to provide comprehensive services that address the unique needs of young people living with HIV. The 2 activists stress the importance of meaningful engagement and ensuring an equal playing field for young people in the AIDS response, asserting that their experiences are vital for shaping effective policies. Despite their essential role in the fight against AIDS, young people often encounter stigma and discrimination when seeking healthcare, which can deter them from accessing the support they need.
Oge Obiorika reporting there.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Our guest this afternoon is Dr. Jonathan Asante Okeri, a Ghanaian political analyst who speaks about the state of Ghana's democracy and how the just ended enough demonstration could strengthen the country's democratic stance. He indicates that a disruption of Ghana's democracy will be a dent on Africa. Here is Dr. Okeri in conversation with Christopher Aticho.
The point is that democracy, electoral democracy and its achievement will have to be accepted as a process. And day in, day out, we meet different challenges and problems. And so along the line, problems, come up. And so as human beings, we need to look and go beyond the books to be able to solve some of these problems. Now, what transpired with this particular demonstration is the fact that I was really impressed with the way and manner it was organized. And what really surprised me was the turnout in Kumasi. Now, in democracies such as ours, you may have your target, but there are other vicarious targets that, come about as a result of the demonstration that they did. What am I saying here? You see, the turnout that was so massive, first of all, sends shivers down the spine of the ruling party. That is one. And 2, the sheer number that attended the demonstration in the Ashanti region, to be precise, Kumasi, will equally send the same message to the MPP. 2, the NDC definitely used this to test the pulse of the nation, whether indeed they are ready for change or it is just a matter of empty rhetoric. And if you asked me, it was because it was impressively done, the pulse of the nation was tested. And I can tell you that the MPP is more likely to lose these elections than any other elections that they have contested in. And then finally, it is the EC. And the demands are quite simple. The errors that they have identified, it appears like it is some kind of a living organism. And therefore, it does not end here or it does not end there.
And want to find out finally that what does this go a long way to consolidate our democracy? Aside pockets of violence and police clashes that happen in Kumasi, I think generally it was peaceful. How does this demonstration go to deepen our democracy?
Well, you see, I think that when you're dealing with the largest opposition and you're in government and you're almost nearing the period of elections, you have to be careful. Other than that, as party in government, you could easily plunge the nation into chaos. I think, as we said, apart from those pockets of violence which can easily be nipped in the bud, this demonstration was splendidly done. The patronage was huge, and it's a testament to the deepening of democracy that we find ourselves.
The NPP are saying that they would also go on the demo, they'll hit the streets if the EC should do a forensic of the voter. How do you react to that, of the voter list?
I think the General Secretary saying that, I think it's a silly comment, to say the least. You don't own the Supreme Court. The point is that when you do a forensic audit, does it obstruct anything? It is rather to ensure transparency, the freeness and the fairness of the impending elections. Why do we do forensic audit? To find errors, to correct these errors, and to make recommendations. We shouldn't forget that this, forensic audit has been done when people was in opposition. They are in government. They should rather be thinking of the stability of the democracy. If they don't know, if there is chaos, they will be more targeted than the opposition. If there is chaos in this country, if you know civil insurrection, they will be more targeted than anybody else. And as a lawyer, I don't think he really thought through before he spoke. But this is a silly comment coming from a general secretary of the party in government, to say the least.
He's Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okiri, a Ghanaian political analyst. Down in the sporting world, reigning CAF Under-20 champions Senegal were held to a 2-2 draw against neighbours Gambia in the Wafu B Under-20 qualifiers in the match duped the Senegambian derby. Senegal took the lead in the first half before Gambia rallied back to equalize in the second half. The Gambia doubled the Atale 2-1, but the young Teranga Lions said found the level to share the spoils. Gambia's head coach Abdoulaye Bojan in a post-match press conference said his side should have collected the maximum points. Following this draw, Senegal secured qualification to the semi-finals. Gambia, meanwhile, will also secure qualification if they avoid a defeat against Mali in their second and final group match. We've come to the end of this edition of Newslink on West Africa, the Democracy Radio broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Mawudo Diouf for the technical support. Do interact with us via our social media platforms, X formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News, and on Facebook, WADR English Service. I am Augustine Bilkali. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, New FM 90.